In my last video which I made yesterday, I explained how the PLA against the Indian military has changed the nature of war in the war zone, which is whole of nation, and it has achieved with the help of Indian military a very high level of autonomy in its machines in the combat zone, which is the traditional battlefield. Now, in today's video, I'll explain how unknowingly the Indian military has actually helped the PLA a lot in making their autonomous weapon systems in the Western Theatre Command. Now, when we talk of autonomous machines or autonomous systems, we are talking of intelligent machines. An intelligent machine is very different from advanced machines. Advanced machine is what gives efficiency and it is pre-programmed. Whereas an intelligent machine is one which is capable of reasoning and problem solving. And for that, three things are required to make a machine intelligent. One is accelerated computation, China has. Then a very high level of human talent to write sophisticated algorithms, which China has. And the third and the most critical requirement is large amount of data sets. Now it's logical, if you have to make a machine intelligent for problem solving, then the data set should be from an area where the machine is required to do the problem solving. For example, it is no good if you get the data sets of self-driving car, some commercial data set, and try and let's say put it in a PLA humanoid robot in the Western Theatre Command. It will not work because the robot would have been trained on something entirely different. It cannot do the job, the problem solving in the Western Theatre Command. Not only that, the PLA can't even get the data sets from its own Eastern Theatre Command facing Taiwan and try and use it in the Western Theatre Command facing India, because once again the requirements are very different. So the ideal situation for the PLA to get the data set would be from the theatre where it is supposed to operate or do the operations from, and this is the Western Theatre Command. And we know since 2017 the Western Theatre Command for the PLA, it is its permanent habitat, it is its permanent training area, and it is its operational base for a war against India. So as far as the PLA is concerned, since 2018, we know that it has been doing regular, intensive combat training which are realistic. So it has collected a lot of data on itself. But under normal circumstances, the problem for the PLA would have been that all right, we've got the data on ourselves. What about the enemy, the Indian military? What about the Indian military's weapons, their war concept, what they think and what they do? Now that would have been very difficult because the PLA would have collected that from open sources or perhaps from human intelligence, which again is very difficult. But now think of this situation, which is a godsend situation for the PLA. It's something like a gold mine. It is exceptional situation. How it has happened, I'll explain later. Where the PLA not only has data sets of its own training, it knows everything about the Indian military and the Indian Air Force in the Western Theatre Command since the last 5 years. It knows exactly their deployments, their war concepts, everything is known. Details I'll talk in a while. So this is the ideal situation. You got now operational data sets in very large quantities. Then you train your AI models. And as you do more and more exercises and more data comes up on about the enemy, then you keep updating your AI models. So under ideal situation, what this looks like is that the AI model or the intelligent machines, the intelligent robots, let's say, of the PLA in the Western Theatre Command would be so good that they should be able to team and work together in partnership with the human beings there, the human commander. But it is not so, because there is yet another problem. And that problem is of the humans and the machines. Because the human and the machines, they are opposite to one another. They don't behave in the same way. For example, when we talk of humans, let's take the case of a human child. Now, even before the child goes to school, it reads there, learns, becomes intelligent, it has already acquired cognitive capabilities. The child already would have intuitiveness. It would be able to sense danger, where to go, where not to go. It would know the right from wrong. So it would have the cognitive capabilities. In the machines, it is opposite. With the help of these large data sets, the machines are trained to become intelligent first, which means that they are now capable, after training, of problem solving and reasoning, but they do not have cognitive capabilities. They do not know right from the wrong, they do not know where is the danger, what is to be done. They do not know all those things. But now, of course, the global AI researchers tell us that with the coming of the large language models, even this problem slowly will get mitigated. That the machines will start having the cognitive, the problems of the cognition problems which will get eliminated. If not eliminated, they will lessen. But yet there is another problem, which is typical to the military. And that problem is that today it is impossible to know if a machine takes a certain decision as to why it took that decision. Now, this is what is called a black box problem. It's a black box because if a human is to know why a machine suddenly took a certain decision, the researcher has to go back to the basics. He has to study the entire algorithm to know exactly at what stage the machine took a turn and did something unexpected. Whether good or bad, that is immaterial. But the very fact that why a model took a certain AI model took a certain decision is difficult to find out. As I said, it's a black box problem. It's also called contextualization. And this is about reliability and trust. There is no way that the human can have trust and reliability on the machine as long as this problem is there. So the other best thing that can happen is, instead of a human machine teaming, human machine collaboration can happen. Now, human machine collaboration is about human command and robot control. This is different. For example, let's say the PLA has done all this training that I said, and it has created some AI models, some humanoid robots have been created which have been trained. Now, what they can do is, once you have some trained model, then the software or the neural networks, what has been written for these models, the same can be copied to the new humanoid robots which are coming out from the production line. And they will also become as intelligent as the one which have been trained now. That is how it works. So, as far as PLA is concerned, it can have a whole lot of intelligent humanoid robots. So, in the concept of, as I said, a human machine collaboration, there could be one commander who would be commanding a number of intelligent nodes, and each node in turn would be commanding through an intelligent network lot of intelligent things. And the things could be humanoid robots, it could be unmanned guns, unmanned tanks, it could be sensors. They are all things. It can be done. So I will not be surprised if, say, by next year, what we will see in the Western Theatre Command is at least a combined arms brigade. Not a brigade, a combined arms battalion, which is about 500 troops. Actually, we would see the humanoid robots in this configuration of human machine collaboration. And I won't also be surprised if, say, by the end of this year, we find that their border guards. Now, the border guards which are under the PLA, we know they don't have combat capabilities. They are basically reconnaissance elements which are there on the first line. So they could easily put the humanoid robots there, the trained ones, the intelligent humanoid robots, that would be part of the information war. Now, how this thing has happened, it's come on the platter to the PLA, is now we have to go back to 5th of August 2019, when the Modi government in a senseless move removed 370 from Jammu and Kashmir. It created new maps where it showed in the Ladakh Union Territory map Akshay Chin as part of it. We know the Chinese rejected that. Then in April of 2020, The PLA came and occupied a large chunk of Indian territory in eastern Ladakh, and they also claimed the entire Ladakh Union territory as well. It is since that time the standoff started. So the Indian military also pushed the troops, that we did our deployments, they did their deployments. So for the last 5 years, what the PLA did was, in August of 2020 itself, the same year that they came and occupied the places in eastern Ladakh, they brought their 5G wireless communications right to the edge of where they were sitting. And then they had all their radars, their space-based radar, their airborne radars, their land sensors, their and their radars on the ground. Everything was collecting data, huge quantity of data. And data on what? All the information on Indian Army deployments, the Indian Army war concepts, then the logistics line, the roads, the tracks, the terrain, the bridges, what bridges are there, what is the classification of the bridges, the Indian Air Force air bases, their alternate bases, their air bases in the hinterland, their ammunition dumps, their fuel storage points, then the rest and relief which is being done, and the change of troops done by the Indian Army, then the habitat, because that directly affects the morale of the troops of the Indian Army, and what improvement has happened over the years, the exercises done by the Indian Army, the weapons they use, the ammunitions they have, and the fact that the bulk of the Indian Army, the troops and the weapon system, they are south of the Brahmaputra river, and the number of bridges which are on the Brahmaputra river, then the key vulnerable areas on the line of actual control, for example Sikkim for the Indian Army, where we know the Indian Army has the highest density of troops anywhere in the world. An entire corps, 33 corps, is there for the protection of Sikkim. So all these things are known to the PLA, and it is getting regular updates also on that. So there's nothing really about the Indian Army it doesn't know. And considering the high altitude areas, and considering the fact that there is very little room for maneuver, there is not much movement that can happen in a war from the Indian military side. So all this, what they would have done is, the mathematical modeling would have been done, and they would have earmarked exactly the type of destruction, with what weapon it has to be done, at what stage it would have been done. So everything has been done and ready as far as the PLA is concerned. Now, if this is in this situation, if say there is a war between India and China, then basically they could even have the humanoid robots in the battlefield, because there will be no operation surprises. There will be no need, because of the operation surprises, for them to write the algorithms on the move. All that will not be there. You see? So as far as the PLA is concerned, PLA is today in a very happy state because of this 5 years of the standoff which has happened on the line of actual control. Now on their own side, what they have done is, for their own realistic training, we know that in 2016, President Xi Jinping assumed another hat and became the commander-in-chief. And in 2017, the PLA revised its military training regulation to put a focus on realistic training, combat training. And this is what was extraordinary, that on the 3rd of January 2018, Xi Jinping became the first chairman of China, also the head of the Central Military Commission and the Commander-in-Chief, to directly address the troops on the importance of realistic training. No earlier chairman has done this. So this is the focus that Xi Jinping has put on realistic combat training. Not only that, 1/3 of the defense budget of the PLA has been earmarked for this military training. Why are they doing all this? They are doing all this to get the data sets for their robots. Now this is something that has to be understood very clearly by the Indian military, what it is up against. And in my next video, I will explain a hypothetical situation that if, God forbid, there is a war between India and China, how it will play out. Thank you so much.